So when I open the hood here, I see this hose, which is the main radiator hose, the upper radiator hose in my vehicle. Now, when we found it yesterday, this piece was not here. It was just the hose, and when we flipped it up, there was a hole down here, and I'll show that to you. Let me go over and grab my pocket knife off the ground here, and I'll tear this off and let you guys see. Now I'm going to be replacing this hose anyway, otherwise I would not recommend it cutting it just like this, but since I'm going to change it, this one's going to go in the garbage. Let me see if I can get it off. Alright guys, I got this little piece off here of the hose. Now when you see last night when we found this, we were kind of at a loss of what to do, so we kind of just tagged it just so we could get home. Now I don't know if you can, how well you can see this, but there's a dent in this hose from where it looks like it's been hitting the fan. If it hits like a bump or something, it hits down there, and that corner's been taking out pieces of the hose. So now there's a pretty decent size hole in it, and it's not holding water like it's supposed to, and it's just spewing out all over the place, and I'm going through so much more water than what I should be. And if you also take a look into this, I don't know how well, let me see if I can turn this on here. So we were too far away from a parts store to try and go get one of these last night, so I put a cleaned it up as well as I could, put a pull patch on it, and then wrapped it in duct tape a few times just to get us home. By the time we got home, this, as you can see, has already torn back through. That plastic is gone from all the steam that has hit it. So we're going to change this hose today. So along with this, check, or you can use a screwdriver to get this off. Now the other things I've got, other than the pocket knife and some tools, is the hose replacement itself, and I'll show you that as well. My truck is a 1994 F-150, and for this particular truck, this hose was 13 and some change. Let me make sure. Yeah, I got that on the right way. So here's the old hose. Here's the new hose. So let's go and find some tools and see if I can get these old clamps off. And as long as I don't break them, I can reuse them. Alright guys, I could not find a screwdriver, so I'm using this tiny little wrench here. This is actually not a 5/8, it's a 5/16. So let's see if I can. And the chances are when I pull this off, water may or may not go everywhere, because I don't know how much water is still in there. So let's, alrighty tighty, get this off and see if we can get this other one on. It's on there pretty tight, so we might have to loosen this quite a bit. I don't want to take it all the way off because I don't want the screw to fall down on the bottom and wind up on the floor or something, and I don't have any replacement screws for this, so it's something else I would have to buy. So if you can wiggle this off. Alright, don't want to break it. Oh, going back the other direction. Alright, now this should, oh, a little bit more. Alright. There we go. It's starting to come loose now, so we'll go a little bit more. That's exactly what I didn't want to happen. Okay. Yeah, you can see that it probably also needs a clean too, but I don't have the money for that today. That will be another day type of thing. So let's get that one off, and then the other end of this hose is down right here. And they're pretty small, so let's see if we can get this one off too. And the biggest fear about putting this thing back on is that I'm not going to be able to get it in the right spot. So when I take this off, I want to make sure that I pull it out in the exact same position that it come on, so that I know exactly which way it goes back on there, and I don't have to fiddle with it for 20 minutes trying to get it back on there. So let me take this one off as well, and then I'll pull it out exactly the way it come out, and we'll go from there. I haven't replaced them since I've had the vehicle, and I've had it about 7 years now, so it's been a while, so they're pretty clamped in there. There we go. Take this out of the way. Exactly the same way. So we're gonna put this just like that, and I'm gonna get some stuff ready to go, and then we'll put it back on. Alright, so at this point the only thing I've done from the old one is taken the clamps off of the exact side that they come off. I don't think this matters because I'm pretty sure they're the same, but I know in some truck models they're different. So I've taken the exact ones off and put them on in the exact same spot on the hose, and now we're gonna try to get it back on there. So the first thing I want to do, I don't want to worry about these clamps just yet. I want to get the hose on and make sure it's not going to be twisted or kinked or in any way. So let's try that. So this one is going to go on just like that, and see if we can wiggle this clamp back down in here a little bit. Alright, and you want to leave a little bit of space. You don't want it to be too far down because it'll slide off the edge of the hose, and that could cause a problem. Alright, so I'm going to put this one back on this side. Wiggle it back on there. All the way up against the stopper, and again for this one you want to pull this one. You want to pull it too far, but I'm probably going to have to loosen this one a little bit too, just to get it back in the space that you want it. And that should be, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, that should be plenty of room right there. So I'm going to tighten these up, and we'll go from there. Alright, so now that we got the new hose on, we're back to the same original problem where the fan hits the hose, and I'm going to try to find something, if I can't, stack that up out of the way so maybe it doesn't hit until I can find a more permanent replacement. Okay, so as a temporary solution, the only thing we could find was some zip ties. So I'm going to cut these extra pieces off here just to make sure that they're out of the way. When you do this as well, you also want to make sure this hose isn't kinked so that the water can still get down in there. So we're going to do this, and we're going to try it out. Alright, so we're working on putting the water in it right now. I also wanted to point out that when you are filling the radiator coolant, which is this one, usually most people use antifreeze. I know that I've got another leak somewhere that I have not found yet, and until I find it, I'm going to be using water, which is totally fine. Just make sure you use warm or hot water. Please do not use cold. It causes you more issues than somebody really cares for, unless you plan on not driving this today and drive it tomorrow. So we're going to put water in here, fill it up to the fill line here, and then we're also going to fill up the radiator as well. And as this is filling up, I'm also squeezing this hose, making sure it's sucking up enough in there. When it does, you can hear the water run through it. But we only got 2 gallons in it right now. It holds somewhere between 4 and 6, depending on how much is in there. But I think it's pretty much empty, so it's probably going to take closer to 6. But what it does is, like this, we'll fill up the radiator first, and then it will go through this hose, and it will cool off the engine. So it's going to take a little longer for this hose to be full than it will for the radiator or for this. And then when this gets up here, I'll show you how to test and make sure that you've gotten most of this space filled, if not all of it. So 4 gallons of water later, you can see it resting in the top there, just right on top. So if you squeeze the hose just like that, you can see it'll come up and then it'll go down, and it'll help fill the extra bubbles in the hose and in the motor, so you can get as much water in there as you make sure that you need. And you can also hear it. Alright, so now we have filled the radiator itself and the radiator coolant reservoir with water. A little over 4 gallons, I think. We've squeezed the hose, make sure we got most of the air out, if not everything. So now I'm going to start it, let it run for a minute, make sure that it's gotten all the water down in there that it needs, and then we're going to refill this if we need to. So I'm getting ready to start the truck now, and what we want to make sure is that the water is flowing correctly. We also want to make sure that this isn't going to get too hot and melt. If it does melt to something up here, I'm not too worried about it. What I am worried about is if it falls down and it melts into something else, that can be kind of dangerous. So I want to make sure that it's not going to melt. If it is, I've got my knife sitting nearby so that I can cut it off real quick and get it out of the way, and then cut the engine so it doesn't destroy the new hose and the fan. And this is only temporary till I can get back to the parts store. They actually make a block that fits here to keep it up just enough so that the fan's not going to cut into it. So let's get it started. Alright, so as you can see by these 2 little gauges right here, my oil is a little low, so we're going to go get some of that today and help it be a little closer, if not in this little normal word right here. And then this is actually my heat sensor, and I'm sorry if you guys can't see it. I'm not sure what's going on. I just started the truck about 5 minutes ago, so we're going to try to see if this sits in the normal range or if it's going to overheat, and that's going to tell us whether or not this worked. So we're going to go just hang out for a minute and see what it does. Alright, so I just turned the truck off. As you can see, the gauge is still sitting in the normal range, which is exactly where we want it to be. So we're going to give it a test drive, but I think it should be good to go. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, subscribe, all that lovely stuff. Maybe more videos to come. Thanks for watching.